Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Headlines. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. Today is Tuesday, May 19, and we are here to share some of the latest headlines and stories that affect Puerto Vallarta's English speaking community. If you're new to these broadcasts, my name is Paco, and we get together every morning at 10:30 in the morning live on Facebook. We share headlines, we share questions, we share ideas, thoughts, suggestions on how to stay creative, how to stay healthy, how to stay smiling during these interesting times that we're living today. Um, Everything that we talk about, we share the websites that the information comes from so that after each show, you can go and find the show notes so that you can enjoy or further research or examine whatever it is that we're talking about. Of course, if you're catching this in the afternoon or on another day, you can find all the notes for everything that we talk about on the description of each show. And of course, if you're a YouTube user, we also share the broadcast to YouTube. Let me start by saying quick hellos to some of the folks that are always here with you. It is always great to see you and see that you keep coming back day after day. This means a lot to me. And it means a lot to me that you also communicate with me privately and share your thoughts, your comments, your ideas, things that we should be talking about. This makes me very, very happy. Um, so, good morning, everyone. March, Craig, Stacy, Gail, Kathleen, Kelly, Mimi, Randall, Renee, Daniela, buenos dias. It's really great to see you all here. So, as long as we're all getting settled, um, we are going to break down today into three sections. We're going to talk about Nayarit because you asked for it, and I've done some research, and I have some great Nayarit good news or clarity news to share. Then we're going to go through some of our usual headlines, and then we're going to talk about some leisurely stuff. Today turned out to be a very balanced day news-wise, so I'm just going to dive in because I want to make sure that we have time for everything and that we have time for your questions and your comments and suggestions. So, for starters, we've been reporting a lot of news about what's going on in the state of Jalisco. As we know, the state of Jalisco has decided, as far as COVID-19 is concerned, to pretty much dance to its own tune, come up with its own guidelines, its own plans, all within the constraints or whatever has been decided by the federal government. Some differences here and there. And you've started asking me about Nayarit, what's going on in the state of Nayarit. Well, Antonio Echeverria, who is the governor of the state of Nayarit, went live on Facebook yesterday, and I shared the URL. I will share it again today. And he made a 15-minute presentation, which sounded like a politician making a 15-minute presentation. The man is a politician. He's the governor of the state. Oh, I've learned. Very important. If you ever want to look and sound like a politician in Mexico and you want to emphasize something, here's the symbol. Okay, your hand goes like this, and you have to do like this and do these kinds of things every time you want to make an important point. Don't do that in Brazil. That's a huge offense. That means that you're an asshole in Brazil. But in Mexico, if you want to emphasize something, you want to be using your hands like this. And you see, I didn't have to go to politician school to learn that, and I hope you will use it whenever you need to make an important point among your friends. Anyhow, here's in a nutshell what Echevarria said to his constituents. Nayarit is now heading towards the peak of the pandemic numbers. So, needless to say, he does not want to be compared to other states, probably referring to Jalisco because we're neighboring states that are taking matters differently into account. So they're not going to be implementing their own guidelines. Nayarit is pretty much relying on federal government guidelines. They're continuing to impose safe distancing and they estimate that the peak of the transmission in Nayarit will happen during the final week of May. Um, the governor is aware of the fact that productivity is essential, but pretty much he won't move things forward until things are green lighted by federal health alternatives. Meanwhile, he has come up with his own program for economic reactivation, and the program in Nayarit is called Mano con Mano, hand on hand. Um, and it features 5 areas of support, or 5 areas in which the government is going to move forward. Think about it as 5 industries or business types that are going to be supported. The first one is Manos a la Obra, which literally means hands to work. And this has to do with public infrastructure. The governor has vowed that in public infrastructure throughout the state will be boosted starting on June 1st and continuing until December, benefiting up to 26,000 construction workers. Schools, health centers, homes will all be addressed in construction works, and larger projects such as a highway that goes from Compostela to Puerto Vallarta. This is a new toll-free highway, is going to continue being constructed. And of course, the conversion of the current highway that goes up to the state of Nayarit, which is already in progress. It's being converted from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. The last few times that I drove to Guadalajara, I could see this happening. And all construction projects, private and public, are going to be resuming on June 1st in the state of Nayarit, provided that all the safety and health guidelines are followed. The second area in which the state is going to be um, implementing aid packages is in the farming industry through a program called Manos al Campo, or Hands to the Field, in which the government is going to make available materials and seeds and everything that you need to farm to 24,000 farmers throughout the state, ultimately benefiting up to 100,000 people if you take their families into account. The third slice of the program is called Manos a los Negocios, Hands to Businesses, in which he's going to make financing available to small businesses. He promises to do this without a lot of bureaucracy, and he stated that 170 million pesos will be made available to assist small businesses. He further said that Manos al Autoempleo, or hands to self-employed, means that up to 20,000 pesos are going to be distributed for each person that does not have a steady job, in hopes that these people will be able to reactivate their own work and to hopefully generate additional work for others. Lastly, hands to tourism, Manos al Turismo. There's going to be an initiative that will help develop small businesses that are involved in the tourism sector, with up to 5,000 pesos delivered per business to start working once it is permitted by the federal authorities. The Tourism and Conventions Bureau will receive up to 89 million pesos to promote the state. All the tourist destination are going to be promoted so that they can reactivate the tourism economy in the state of Nayarit. And once the tourism is officially opened by federal guidelines, Nayarit is planning what they're calling La Gran Semana de Turismo, or the Great Week of Tourism, which is probably something similar to El Buen Mes that is being planned, or the Good Month that is being planned in the state of Jalisco. Needless to say, all of this is going to be happening slowly and progressively according to whatever safety guidelines are put into place. The governor of Nayarit then addressed the issue of alcohol sales, and of course, Mimi's comment jumps to me immediately, because Mimi says Ley Seca is over. Well, apparently ley seca or dry law is not over. The governor expressed a lot of discontent over the fact that even though the entire state was to not sell any alcohol during this time, there's been a lot of black market alcohol sales throughout the state, and the governor is once again asking respectfully to all the municipalities, all the mayors, to pretty much stop selling alcohol so that families can save their money and so that violence in the homes can be reduced. And of course, because he thinks that booze is non essential. Now, I'm just sharing the news as I know them or as I see them, um, and um, and that's what he said. So in Spanish, we have a phrase that says "en concreto que," which means so. The bottom line is what? What is going on in Nayarit? Well, clearly, um, we don't know because he doesn't know because nobody knows. I mean, he's setting things in motion so that things can be reactivated in Nayarit starting on June 1st as directed by the federal government. But what this will exactly mean to those of us that live here and work there, or vice versa, or to our neighbors in Nayarit, it is a mystery. Now, the good news is that I made a few phone calls and I um, called upon some very dear friends. And one of those friends is my dear friend Richard Sarkin. Richard is the director of public relations at Riviera Nayarit, and he has been a friend and colleague of mine for many, many years. And he has agreed to come to Coffee and Headlines and spend some time with us later on this week so that any answers that we have regarding the state of Nayarit will be addressed by him within the type of questions that he is able to answer. So I'm very grateful that I was able to reach out to Richard, who's doing good and still working very hard um, up in the Riviera Nayarit Tourism and Conventions Bureau. So that is my very vague report on Nayarit. I wish I had more specific information. I am sure that friends of ours that have businesses in the state of Nayarit are also itching to have some clarity about what's going on, but it is no better or no worse than what we're going through here. Meanwhile, here in the state of Jalisco, after the guideline bombs were dropped on us yesterday, I noticed that a number of you were asking questions amongst yourselves about have you figured out this guideline or how are you finding this cleaner and so forth and so on. My heart goes to all of the um, Puerto Vallarta business owners that are trying to make sense of all these guidelines. But we learned that 9,500 businesses registered on the first day of phase zero on that website that we talked about yesterday. Um, and according to this report that I got from Vallarta Independiente, there are 3,802 businesses that are ready and have everything good to go. And hopefully they are going to be able to start working on June 1st. Hopefully they will get their sticker and all the paperwork necessary to do that. Um, if anybody among our community, the Coffee and Headlines community, is finding particular information useful that you want to share with other business people that are watching this morning or any morning, please feel free to share your comments so that we can highlight those as necessary. Um, we also learned from the federal government, of course, Hugo López-Gatell continues doing his nightly press conferences, and he reminds us that we have 13 days left of the safe distance campaign. Um, and he quickly emphasizes that it is not over on June 1st, that starting on June 1st, all of the country will be, or rather, the way in which the country starts resuming activity will be determined by this traffic light system that we discussed a few days ago. Of course, here in the state of Jalisco, we have not been paying much attention to this federal traffic system or color system, because the state of Jalisco is dancing by its own tune, which of course must be very, very confusing because I'm sure that a lot of media outlets that handle international news are paying attention to federal guidelines or federal news and not state news. So you may find among your friends that some people are trying to follow federal guidelines while we're trying to stick to the local guidelines because we live here, we know what's going on. So be sure to pay a lot of attention to your news sources on these days because things can get a little bit confusing. I will continue to try to bring as much accurate information as possible to the table. As I mentioned yesterday or the day before, I forget. Hurricane season is upon us. I believe there was already a hurricane in the Atlantic coast, and specialists from the University of Guadalajara have established that the period of rain in Puerto Vallarta will begin between the 9th and the 15th of June, and of course, hurricane season began on the 15th of May. So we are going to start keeping track of the weather forecast because, as you know, for those of us that live here year round, weather becomes an important thing to pay attention to during the summer months. Um, this we are going to file in the fishy department. The micro hydroelectric company that is attempting to build a dam in the Horcones River south of Puerto Vallarta, that same dam that a lot of locals have been protesting against. They are delivering food baskets in Boca de Tomatlán. They are being supported by the National Guard. And according to this news item, um, they delivered all these basic food baskets to many, many people in Boca de Tomatlán. Needless to say, this is something that is thought provoking. This is the same company that was trying to build a dam. So I am sure that those people that have been vigilant about the development of this particular scenario would want to know that this is happening. Meanwhile, our governor, the governor of Jalisco, dropped a 77-page PDF this morning on social media. And this is a more detailed, more formally presented outline of everything that's going on in the state of Jalisco. I haven't had a chance to see it or review it, but I'm going to leave you the link and I'm going to explore it. And if I find something that can complement what we already know and be useful to us, I will be so very happy to share. Moving into the leisurely stuff, but before I do that, I want to very quickly see if you have any questions um, about what we've been discussing so far. Um, you're also well behaved. I love it because you all say hello. And I like that. I like that very much. Has construction for homes and condos continued? Hello, Greg. That's a really good question. Construction has been a tricky thing because it hasn't really stopped, although it was supposed to stop. Um, and I believe that construction begins officially on June 1st, all kinds of construction. Again, this is the way it does. This is the way it goes. Just like Trump does, says Chris. Well, I have some news regarding that department, but we'll get to that in a second. Bam, 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 bam. Ley seca never works, never did, never will. I know. No, definitely not. We could not add our business to the map section. Anybody have that problem, says Gayoff. Again, if anybody has tips about this, feel free to contact Gayoff directly or share with us. Paul tells us that they're ready except for the all-staff meeting required for certification. Good for Hotel Mercurio. Excellent. This is wonderful. I see a comment that says try again. We did it yesterday because I'm getting your comments chronologically. It's difficult for me to say if you're answering to one another. So I hope you are answering one another. If you own a physical business in the Vallarta area, please join our Facebook page at Vallarta Area Business Owners. Kelly, please share the URL, share the webpage with us so that we can promote this accordingly. Any idea when bars and tourism will be open? No idea. No idea just yet. We know definitely that it's not going to be on the 1st of June. Um, are we able to walk the beaches as of yet? Great question, Claude. Um, Here's my very unofficial answer for you. If you're walking from point A to point B, and you're doing so at a not, I mean, at a pace that indicates that you're trying to get from point A to point B, I don't think anybody's going to put you away. I have a friend that is doing this here in Puerto Vallarta. I have seen the security guards going by on their little boat. So if you want to go walking on the beach, I would imagine that you can do that if you're by yourself. If you decide to walk the beach with a beach umbrella and a towel and all of a sudden you perch yourself there, bad idea. Not yet. Not yet. Hello, map section. I missed that. Where can we find this? Uh-oh. Well, talk amongst yourselves, my friends. This is a good place for us to be able to exchange ideas. Um, my comment is in regard to Trump's hand gestures when speaking. Thank you, Chris. Yes, we've noticed that President Trump does the same thing, and that is an excellent segue to get back to our headlines, because when President Trump decided to make Obamagate his next phrase of choice, I figured, okay, Randy Rainbow, what are you going to do with this? And of course, Randy Rainbow delivered. There's a new production on the air by Randy Rainbow, inspired by tradition from the Fiddler in the Roof, Fiddler on the Roof. And I've watched a little bit of this, and of course, it's Randy Rainbow doing what he does best. And of course, I'm going to share this with all of us so that we can learn Randy Rainbow's latest new song. Moving right along, you may notice that your friends up north are using some cute, very cute Facebook avatars. This is because Facebook has now implemented the ability to create your own avatar in the United States and some countries in the world. Of course, Mexico is not included yet, but I'm going to leave you with this very nice guide on how to do it, when you can do it, so that you can be just like everybody else that is doing it. I've been meaning to ask you if you've tried the new Facebook Messenger Rooms ability to have video chats with a bunch of people at the same time. I've seen it on my phone, so I know that it is available here in Mexico. This article compares Facebook Messenger Rooms versus Zoom, and talks about which one is better than the other. I welcome your comments. I haven't had a chance to do these multi-group Zooms lately because I've been um, quite delighted and busy finding interesting news for all of us to share. Um, I also found out that even if you're bummed out if you cannot be at Stonehenge this year, you can enjoy the summer solstice via live streaming. This is coming up on June 21st. I knew that you were dying to know that, so I figured I would share that with you. I also know that you're itching to find out what it is that Bill Gates reads. Bill Gates has delivered a list of summer reading choices. Um, this is his annual tradition. I didn't know this, as a matter of fact, but I bookmarked this because I am curious to see what Bill Gates is reading and what he's recommending and why. Um, he is recommending a book called The Great Influenza, which is interesting because just last night I was listening to a Fresh Air podcast um, from NPR where they interviewed John Barry, the author of this book, which now is a huge bestseller in the United States. So we can all figure out what this reading list is all about. Um, on a personal note, my crock pot has been, calling my name again, saying, Paco, please, throw some stuff in me and just make me warm. So I found this 3-ingredient crock pot roast with onions recipe, which is going to be my new adventure. I'm going to share this with you because I know that you're lazy cooks like I am. Well, I am lazy. I call it lazy. I don't want to put more than 5 ingredients on anything. So this is 3 ingredients. So I'm going to see what comes out of it after a few hours. Um, Last but not least, as far as links are concerned, I want to start mentioning this. We've talked about this before. This is Peavy Strong, the Vallarta Pride benefit for the Peavy Nightlife Fund, which is going to happen this weekend. This is a fundraising event, huge fundraising event for workers, nighttime workers from many of the local LGBT bars. This is produced by Gay Pride, and it will feature all sorts of performances by famous people from near and far. A lot of people from the gay community: Elliot Cohen, Ross Matthews, Brooklyn Heights, a lot of drag queens. Locally, we're going to have Kim Kuzma, we're going to have Amy Armstrong, Misconception, Mama Teets, Chichirones, Lady Zen, Mark Hartman, the Kinsey Six. So this is going to be a huge fundraiser we can all enjoy from home this coming Saturday. Um, and I'm going to leave you the bookmark for this so that you can get yourself a reminder happening. So this is one of the two Pride-related events that is going on. The other one, as you know, is not going on until the month of June, the virtual Gay Pride celebration. And I have been getting my stuff together for this, and I want to show you. You are the first friends that get to see this. But as I mentioned, I am going to be participating in this event. And what I'm going to be doing, the event goes on from June 8 to 14. I will not have a participation on the first day because that'll be the opening day. But starting on the second day, on Tuesday, June 9th, I will go live every single day with what I'm calling La Vida Gay with Paco Ojeda. That would be me. And what I'm going to do is we're going to have interviews. We're going to have half of the shows are going to be in English, half of the shows are going to be in Spanish. I'm going to have some guests that are going to come in and have conversations with me about different aspects of the LGBT world. Some of it will be cultural, some of it will be fun, some of it will be interesting. And I am lining up interviewees, I'm lining on topics, which is interesting and fun because, um, the mindset of a Mexican national gay man or lesbian is different from that of our friends from north of the border. So I'm going to try to customize the content of each one of the programs according to the audience. So if you happen to be gay, lesbian, LGBTQ, whatever your identity is, and you have some thoughts, comments, or suggestions that you want to share with me as to what you'd like to see in my live participations, please let me know. Meanwhile, I want to send a huge shout out to Mandy McPherson because she's put together a huge team, and I understand that the time slots available to broadcast during the whole week are running out. So for those of us that are part of the LGBT community, to have a gay pride celebration that is a week long with a full schedule of activities is just dreamy. It is just dreamy. So I really hope that anybody that is a fan or that loves the community, I hope that this will be a success because this could be the beginning of a really wonderful annual event. Before I leave, let me scan for any other important comments that you may have. Um, Kelly is offering tips. Thank you very much, Kelly. This is really great. Um, did I see the video of young people getting arrested for being on the beach? No, I didn't. I don't know where that was. And if they were doing something that they shouldn't be doing, I think, you know, everybody has been forewarned. Paul says that the Great Influenza is fascinating. Again, Paul, I was just looking through podcasts, and Terry Gross interviewed the author, and it was fascinating because the author actually did a comparison between what he researched for his book and what's going on right now. I'm going to look for the bookmark for that podcast, and I'll be happy to share it if anybody else is a podcast junkie. I love podcasts because they put me to sleep. And I know that doesn't sound very nice, but there are podcasts that are done specifically to make you sleepy. There's a bunch of great storytelling podcasts, and the people that narrate them have these very soothing beautiful voices that just relax you. And that's what I use to go to sleep. What is the best type of meat to get for the crock pot? Oh, I love you, Gail. I will put something together because when I move, this is so much fun. When I moved here from the States, I didn't know, even though I'm Mexican, I had lived in Boston for almost 20 years. I didn't know my meat lingo in Spanish either. So I never knew if I was making flank or if I was making this or so forth and so on. So I will definitely take this as part of my homework and I will definitely get back to you with something useful. It'll be my pleasure. Um, Kelly shared the URL for her business group, and that works perfectly, Kelly. That's exactly what we need because having that at our disposal, all we have to do is click on it and we're there. Um, Yay, participation, and yay, wonderful news. You guys are wonderful. And with that thought in mind, we're going to wrap this up. Again, I am to chase my friend Richard from Riviera Nayarit this afternoon to make sure that we got the Skype kinks worked out so that we can schedule an interview. So once we have him on board, you're welcome to bring in all your Riviera Nayarit questions and your Nayarit questions in general. He may or may not be able to answer everything because you have to remember we're all in the dark trying to look for the light switch. But the good thing is that we're doing this together. This wraps up today. As always, I hope you will stay safe, you will stay healthy, you will stay sane. I hope you will feed your crock pot. And I will see you again tomorrow. Have a great day. And thank you for sticking around. It really means a lot to me. And thank you for those of you who take the time to write and let me know that you found something useful on the bookmarks or the webpage or anything. It really validates all the work that we put forth to make sure that we all stay informed, and it means the world to me. It's the best piece of good news, and it's the best way I can feel loved. Actually, that's not true because I also love to feel loved with my little link, and I'm just going to leave there while we get out of here. Cue the house facade. Have a great day, and I'll see you again tomorrow.